Yeah, I want to call attention to this thing in the front. That's a catch can system for the external vent. This is on an 89 Harley, so from 86 to 90, they had it going right from the crankcase, which is that. And this is, so that's going to a catch can. Normally it goes right up behind the air cleaner and it gets vented right into the engine. Now, this bike, I just put the pistons in it and just put the cylinders in it. It had blow by, and then it still had a couple leaks on the oil lines. The O-rings were leaking out from the tappets. I put some AT 205 reseal in there. It swelled up the oil rings back, got them like new again. No leak there, but I'm seeing, you can see it's wet over there by the cylinder. And I actually cleaned the shock off on this side, but the shock back here was really grimy. The other one wasn't. It was all on this side of the engine, right? All here. So I'm looking at, the bottom of the engine's like oily. It's got some dripping. It's nowhere near like what it was, but I still got blow by, and I think the reason it's where it's coming from is the valve guides themselves. You can see the rocker here. It's got like a little oil on it. This one don't. It was coming out of the vent was right here. This here was right here. So now I got a catch can in there, and you see it's pretty close to the pipe. And I just got it on there with zip ties. I'm gonna I'm gonna get a couple little bolts for it and bolt it in there so it doesn't move closer to the pipe. But I'm gonna run it and see how it goes. This thing has, what do you call it? A dipstick in it right here. So you unscrew it, you got a dipstick, which is cool. Get that back in there. Right there. So then you unscrew this, and the hole's like, it says 300 milliliters. What is that? 4 ounces or something like that? Around there. I don't do the milliliters. I'm not a communist. I don't do kilograms or kilometers or metric anything. I know how to convert them in my head real quick, but I don't care. I'm not a communist. I'm not a globalist. So we keep it with inches and feet and pounds and ounces and whatever, and fathoms depth in the sea. So anyway, I'm going to try this out, see if this works out. I think now the deal is with this engine, it doesn't have that many miles on it, but the thing is, I was looking up a statistic and I had to look it up through Google. And I knew that most of the engine wear occurs when you start the engine up. Doesn't, you can have, like, they had taxi cabs, even back in the 60s running like 100,000 miles a year, and they just run, police cars, because they're never turned off, and they're maintained. So with this though, there was probably at least 20 something years where I did like a lot of short trips. I'd take it out like pretty much every weekend, 10 to 25 miles. So there was a lot of years I was putting 300 to 500 miles on it. But if you calculate, really would say that interval where maybe I only put 30,000 miles on it in the window for so many decades, or 20 years or something, 30,000 miles, or how many years would that be? Maybe 20 years almost, or 20, or say 17 years, I put like 30,000 miles on it. Well, that is like putting like at least 100,000 easy, because it's probably closer to like 90% of the wear occurs from the very initial startup to the full warm-up period. I used to think it was only during the time when as soon as you got the oil pressure up in the first minute. No, it's actually the whole time period where the engine's warming up, because it's actually running a little richer. The cylinders and pistons aren't like at their operating temperatures, and it's mainly the top end that suffers. Your bearings and stuff like that. I noticed, like, when I took the top end out, the rods were tight and everything. There was no problem with that. There's the S&S rods in there, the crank pins, S&S. That was good. About a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, I put in fueling lifters and S&S adjustable push rods and the rocker lockers, and I still got this valve train noise. And the only thing it could be is the freaking what do you call it? The valve guides. So I got titanium high flow, freaking special high performance valves in here, And they got the nickel bronze guides. And I don't know, maybe the nickel bronze guides wear out faster than the freaking the stock ones, which are cast iron. But you know, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's like, see, in this case, if there's blow by coming from the guides on a compression stroke, it's not going to affect your compression because both valves are closed. It'll be causing some blow by on the opposite cylinder where the valves aren't fully closed. That's when it'll occur. So, you know, I could probably run it like this for 8 million years. So I'm just going to make sure. See, I don't want any oil coming on here because it starts getting on your back tire a little bit. I don't like that part. So as long as I can keep the oil off of it, and I'll just run it. I'm just going to run it. See if this works. It's more of a Band-Aid. And the one thing I don't like is, you see this? Well, it's pretty tight. Maybe it ain't going to move to this. You know, it is pretty tight. I don't know. Maybe I'll put some bolts in there, though, just to make double sure. Because there's a space here about that big. You know, and you're running it down the road, it's not going to... If this touched this, you know, that would be a problem because that's the exhaust and there'd be oil in there. But maybe I will put some bolts in it. But I'm going to give it a test run and see how it works out. Like they'll tell you this is really pretty much a Band-Aid. But, you know what, if it freaking works, who the hell cares, man? For now, buys you some more time. Like I just did the freaking cylinders and pistons. So what I would have to do is the heads. And I don't feel like doing that. You know, I was kind of thinking about that, but I says, you know, I figured most of the problem is gone. It is mostly gone, but this probably will be the rest of it. And I was kind of wondering how this would look. So, looks a little different. People probably look at this bike and what the hell is that shit out there in the front, you know? Well, that's one of them special 100 horsepower injector units or something. You know, I could give them some bullshit. Put some lightning bolts on it or something, you know? Flux capacitor. Looks like a freaking oil filter almost. It's about how big it is, too. A lot of people would look at this and say, what the hell? Maybe that's one of the reasons to put it on your bike, because make people scratch their heads and wonder what the hell it is, right? Anyway, that's what we're doing. Give it a test run tomorrow.